Robert, just want to give you a
Hey,
big hug.
thank you.
Thank you for everything.
Oh, thank you. Keep
Everybody
up the
loved
good
you,
work.
and I just want to tell you, it was such a big moment for me because I don't know, remember when you met my dad, and my dad has a PhD. My dad he worked on a farm. He truly believed that success is all about hard work. And I remember when he bought me the book, I was 15 years old, but I didn't read it until 5 years later. And when I read it, everything changed for me. So, it's just so many ways.
Great. Keep up the good work. Keep teaching.
Probably one of the best-selling books of all time in the area of money and wealth. Robert Kiyosaki, I wanted to share with you how understanding and his principles, not just from reading his book, but also traveling with him, sharing the stage with him in many of the world's largest stages all over the world, even going to the gym with him. I want to share with you what are the principles that really made all of the difference in here. I think number one, the most crucial piece is that number one, the rich does not work for money, but rather the rich are constantly trying to buy back time for money, whereas the poor are constantly trading their time for money. I think it's so crucial to, and it's so obvious, like the rest of the world, unfortunately, based on how school and society has conditioned us, is that most people are working to trade their time for money, whereas the rich are not paid based on time. The rich are paid based on results. The rich are paid based on results so that they can buy back time and leverage time by working with other people. So that's the first piece, that the rich does not work for money. Number two, and this is polarizing, because number two is that traditional education does not work. Traditional education rather is broken. That the skills that actually pays the bills, things like taxes, things like making more money, things like running a business, is taught by people who does not run a business. And Robert talks about this, how he was questioning his business lecturer on how he was teaching business but has never created or ran a business himself. And that's why school and college is broken. The third thing that made a huge difference in terms of understanding how Robert thinks and how he looks at everything, is that, and this is huge, is that debt, and if done right, is one of the most powerful forces in the world, which is what the rich uses that the poor doesn't. And ultimately, to show that what the rich does in the way they think and how they streamline and automate and create their wealth is very different from how the poor think, which is rich dad, poor dad. So one thing that I did after applying these principles in here, so I read this book when I was like 15. I'm always thinking about how can I buy time. The truth is, we can't really buy time. We all leave this planet one day, right? But how do we buy time in a way that allows us to work on something bigger so that we are leveraging on not just other people's money, which is what Robert talks about, but other people's time so that we can work on the business and in the business. So one of the things that I've been doing is that I actually wrote this book here, the Content Multiplier Formula, which is basically a process to streamline, to buy back time so that we can actually use the platforms that's available to us today, which is like the phone, which is what I'm recording on right now, and turn that into a mechanism that actually makes us money. So most people use social media platforms like Facebook, YouTube, Instagram as a distraction. It takes up their time. I talk about how do you use these platforms to buy you time so that you're telling your story, you're sharing your message, you're making a difference to others, you're adding value to others, but much more than that, how do you actually monetize it? I reveal all of that in a 9-step process, which is basically how do you create a video that adds value to others, that genuinely help other people? How do you have a system to leverage and buy time so that social media does not take up your time, so that you have content on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, which is what Robert talks about today as the new rich, as the new way to generate an income. How do you have this streamlined across all these other markets and platforms, but ultimately, how do you monetize, which is step number 9. If you've always wanted to discover how you can share your voice, monetize what you know, streamline it and automate it so that it doesn't overwhelm you, so that you are leveraged, and finally, how do you monetize what you know, then get a free copy of my book, The Content Multiplier Formula. The book is free, I already paid for printing. All you need to do is cover shipping. So head over to the website, the link is somewhere below above this video to get a copy, and I'll see you on the other side.